2 5-stars that were too easy, with too many in the jump-offs, 2 courses with 2 doubles and triples, 2 wins 2 weeks in a row for Ken Farrington, and 2 bad for Julien Epayard, who couldn't clear the last to take a home win in Bordeaux over Martin Fuchs and Connor J. Welcome to Horse Bytes Ringside, your 5 and 10 5-star show jumping, all in just 10 minutes. It was the week of twos as we saw double wins, trouble in the doubles, and double the drama across the board. Ken Farrington took his second 5-star victory in a row, this time with Guerdat in the first 5-star in Wellington, while Martin Fuchs finally got his World Cup win in Bordeaux, securing his place in the finals. We'll get into the highlights in a minute, but first, let's take a look at the 5-star player board from around the world. Garrett Nieberg and the flashy paint horse Ping Pong Van de Lentemel won the 4-star and Sunshine Tour. Maria Gabriela Brugal Gasso and J'adore Flamenco took the 4-star World Cup in Puebla, Mexico. Fantasio Floreval Zed and Cedric Urel were victorious in the Grand Prix in Bordeaux as hometown heroes. Nicola Philipparts and Katanga again won the 5-star qualifier in Wellington for the second week in a row. Andre Time and Paulie Z won the 4-star Grand Prix in Ocala in a 4-horse jump-off. Zinedine had a tough 12-fault result in Ocala with Harry Charles in their first big outing. Goes to show horse-rider partnerships aren't built in a day, and the special Corby VV and Daniel Blumen jumped another clear jumping Grand Prix round despite a time fault. We saw some solid classes this week in Wellington and Bordeaux, but perhaps the biggest story on people's minds was the boycott of the LLN from Swiss powerhouse pair of Martin Fuchs and Steve Guerdat. So stay tuned after the rundown for a look into the issue. And Spoga Horse took place in Cologne this past weekend, highlighting new tech and innovations in the sport as the industry's premier B2B expo. Updates to the airbag vest and new tendon boots that address overheating and airflow were most notable from the fair. But now, let's get into this weekend's action. Wellington's Saturday Night Lights had their first big 5-star event of the season, and we saw no shortage of action. Olympic course builder Gregory Baudot built to the relatively soft track with 2 double combinations and an optical illusion triple that caught out plenty of riders. The time allowed was snug, thankfully, otherwise we would have seen even more than the 11 who qualified for the jump-off. It didn't look huge, and many of the top riders on the list made light of the round 1 course, like Ben Mayer, Richie Vogel, and Henrik von Eckermann. Notoriously, Week 5 in Wellington, the Tour's first 5-star Grand Prix, is always a mixed bag. You typically see quite a lot make it into the jump-off, and whether that's because horses are fresher earlier in season, or they are overly prepared, or the course designers haven't quite figured out the balance of top combinations and younger American pairs, it's always a bit of a strange class. I can remember back in 2019 when Martin Fuchs won with Clooney in an 18-horse jump-off. Just for reference, that's 45% of the class, and remember, most course builders aim for 15 to 20% of the class to go clear. Either way though, this year we got some pretty good sport. The yellow double, especially A coming in with a tall vertical set alone across the middle of the ring on a dogleg turn, was the clear bogey fence on the course. It fell 28% with 11 people knocking it down. A few factors came into play that made it the most difficult jump on course, primarily because of the coloring with the pale yellow under the floodlights made it tricky for horses to see. It was also particularly tall coming in, and with a short time allowed, riders were inclined to get straight to it after the line on the side, which put them on a slight angle on a forward stride as they jumped into the delicate combination. It was an early test that many fell victim to. I'd say Richie Vogel's newer 5-star mount, Levi Nosar, jumped the best round of anybody. Niall Nassar and ESI Ali had a good round, but with a big shift on takeoff at the skinny, they unsuccessfully cleared the white vertical. And several riders, including Lily Keenan on Argon, Shane Sweetnam on Gilona, and Nicola Philipparts on Katanga, all faltered at the back rail of fence number 2 as their horses cut down at the surprisingly wide black oxer. The jump-off wasn't the most exciting to watch, as the strongest on the start list and the final results came sporadically throughout. Olympic champion Christian Kukuk and Checker were the trailblazers and laid down a solid, although eventually beatable, round. Christian mentioned afterwards that he knew he left the door open and said, "I think we had exactly the same strides everywhere, but in the end, I got a little slow to the last jump." A few riders rode conservative, but solid double clears, including Renee Dittmer in Corsica and Natalie Dean in Akata, but they were nowhere near the top time. Henrik von Eckermann and King Edward showed some of the most professionalism in the field, riding his own pace, putting in a solid but not crazy jump-off, making sure to give the gelding a competent ride in light of his recent struggles in fast jump-offs. We did see some action between Richie pop-chipping number 2 as he tried to leave a stride out and do 7 strides, as well as Alex Matz and Ben Mayer unable to get a good shot into the double and both faltering. Ben even got uncharacteristically unseated at B. The young 20-year-old Mimi Gotchman gave a great effort, leaving a stride out to the last jump, but after a slow start, she'd eventually finish in third. But it was Ken Farrington and Guerdat who bested the field on home turf. As he mentioned in the press conference, in the end, our time was fractions faster. That's the difference of being a tiny bit more inside or outside in a line, and I think that's probably where I caught him today. Main takeaways from Wellington: the cream rose to the top with Henrik riding like the pro he is. Mimi Gotchman is proving to be a star for the U.S. squad even at such a young age. Clearly, yellow doubles set alone are something everyone needs to work on, and Bordeaux's course was possibly too soft for the field strength. Horse Bytes is presented by Flair Equine Nasal Strips. Prevent, protect, perform. Listen to the horse's breathing. Close your eyes for a second and just tune into the horse and listen. See? I'm gonna line up the point with the tops of the nostril. So you wanna keep it hinged.
Okay.
Like that, okay? And then maybe do it through the nostril too. Put your hand in the nostril and then it.
Ew.
Yeah. Think about when you exercise. That suction of inhaling. You want to make that as easy as possible and bring fresh air in to help cool you off. There are only 2 things that are scientifically proven to help with bleeding: Lasix, which we're not allowed to use in competition, and Flair Equine Nasal Strips. Look, it's really simple. The product actually works, so why not use it? Think about your upper body, use your eye. Turn through, good. I used it all the time, and now I'm encouraging my daughter and the next generation to use Flair Equine Nasal Strips. On the other side of the ocean, we saw the penultimate leg of the Western European World Cup League in Bordeaux. It was a solid field of horses and riders, and again we saw a course with 2 doubles and a triple, something that is rare in course building, yet we saw it twice this week. Perhaps the course designers were in cahoots. But what looked like a tricky course actually proved to be quite rideable. 12 horse rider combinations would eventually jump clear, and we got some good action throughout. A of the first double was the bogey jump in the class, with 8 people having it down, while B of the second double rode really scopy and also caught out a bunch of horses and riders. A dozen would eventually jump off. Willem Greva's been on a roll recently, this time with Guerdat, making his first big appearance after getting injured at the Olympics. They put in a solid double clear that would land them in bronze position at the end. But it was Julien Anquetin and Blood Diamond DuPont who made a unique and unexpected turn that inspired the rest of the action of the class. They had 1 down, so were out of the running despite their unbeatable time. Peter DeVos and Casual DVZ were able to make that tricky inside line, but with a little pull here and there and some wider turns, their time would land them behind the eventual winner, Martin Fuchs and Connor J, who, despite respecting A of the double and taking their time, were faster throughout and took their first World Cup victory of the season. Julian Bayard and Donatello Doge, who had won a class earlier in the week, were clear until the last and had the time to beat Martin, but it wasn't to be as they hooked the final fence and suffered hometown heartbreak. This week in Bordeaux gave a bit of a shake-up to the overall standings, putting Martin in a safe position within the top 18 to make it to the finals. But after a frustrating 4 faults for Steve Guerdat and Dennis Lynch, they both sit on the cusp and will need some good placings in Gothenburg to secure their spots, with Kim Emmen sitting just outside the top 18. The main takeaways from Bordeaux: double to double is always interesting to see and hard to jump. Martin finally got his win. We love a funky jump-off turn, and basically 12 is too many in a 5-star jump-off. All in, a better than average week of 5-star jumping, with Wellington earning a 7.2 out of 10 for solid scores across the board, and Bordeaux slightly less with a 7.0. On top of the sport this weekend, the show jumping world has been reeling from a bombshell boycott of the Longines League of Nations, which begins this week in Abu Dhabi. With multiple reports about the state of Nations Cup jumping from chef to keeps to top riders, and with the LLN starting, team jumping is certainly under debate. Top Swiss riders Martin Fuchs and Steve Guerdat announced last week that they would not be participating in the upcoming LLN series because of disagreements with the FEI's choice of venues. With Nations Cup jumping consistently undergoing changes every few years due to low viewership, the FEI is clearly struggling to find a solution that satisfies team jumping desires. And with Hank Noren stating that the Nations Cups remain the most important competitions for every national federation and for those who are in service of the federations. I'll leave you with this. Do riders actually think of Nations Cups as the most important competitions? And if not, should show jumping even have team competitions, given that show jumping is primarily an individual sport? And furthermore, does boycotting an event actually push for change when the FEI needs to balance riders' wishes with financial security through online audience presence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Well, that's a wrap on this week's top highlights, but stay tuned next week for a heavy week of show jumping. It's the first LLN out of Abu Dhabi, a nearby 5-star in Doha, the World Cup in Ocala, and of course, 5-star show jumping returns to Hong Kong. Stay tuned to all of our socials. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow along all the action as it unfolds here on Horse Bytes. Your 5 and 10 5-star show jumping, all in just 10 minutes.